This is the meeting of the Groton Board of Education, Committee of the Whole, being held on September 15, 2025 at 6:05 p.m. It's in person and online. And in attendance today, we have Mike Whitney, Jane White, Adrian Johnson, Dean Antipas, Denise Doolittle, Dr. Mancini, and the superintendent, of course. And online we have Jay Whitloff and Sean Corcoran, and Dr. Andrea Ackerman, and Sam Kilpatrick is online. The first order of business is review of the September 8th, 2025 minutes. Everybody received the minutes? Any amendments or anything, Mike?
Two of them. On item 5, update relocation of the robotics team. The last sentence, it was the consensus of the board to contact the town regarding this matter. I wondered if we wanted to add in SB Butler, make it specific to, because that's the part that we were talking to the town on. Yeah. So that was one. And then, actually, oddly, I guess we're missing item 4 somewhere, but that doesn't matter to me. It's like 1, 2, 3, and then 5. Yeah. So, I guess that could be.
I think there was no 4.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, I think 4 is supposed to be 5.
Yeah. So
I think there's only 2 things on that agenda, right?
Yeah, there were.
The dashboard and the robotics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was misnumbered.
Yeah, and I just saw that one because I was going to say, and for number 3, I thought that all those bullet points could just go away because they're in with the attachment, and that kind of helps give it a flavor that's more in line with the data dashboard agenda item, too.
So you want to take away all those bullet points?
Yeah, just strike those because it is described like what we did in that first sentence or so.
Well, and I think in the presentation, which gets attached again.
Exactly. Yeah. So they have the attached.
Go on and see all the specifics of the data.
Right.
How do you feel about that, other people? You okay with that? Amending the minutes as proposed by Michael?
That's fine.
That's fine.
All right, so the minutes are approved as amended. The next item is discussion of the school climate survey. And this is an item that I think the board has been anxious.
I know, that's why I put it on the agenda. I said, I know they want to look at this.
Well, we're excited to hear about it because we want to see, how people are feeling about the schools and, what we need to change and what we're doing good.
And Lauren Cassini, I just a shout out to her because she did craft and gather the data and help us put it together. But she's actually at an ACES conference on impact aids, and she's really leading the charge for impact aid. So she's in Washington for a couple days for that.
So who's going to do the presentation?
So it's going to be a combination. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's going to start off?
Who's going to start us off?
Okay.
Well, we got to put this slideshow up.
Sorry. I can see it on my side.
Yeah. So I can start by saying that since I've been here in 2014, we've had something called a school climate committee. And it's represented by faculty and staff from across the district, administrators, teachers. I think there's been some para-educators. And everybody has been part of this. And they have actually, since the state mandated a culture and climate survey, that we crafted ourselves because they never really gave us a model. They gave us ideas on how it should be and things that we should do. But each year we've tweaked it a little bit to make it even better. And we've tried to keep the mainstay, especially, with the board, asking questions about wanting to see it over time and administrators wanting to see it over time. To try to keep some of the essential questions really very similar. We've provided sampling of a variety of the questions we can showcase, and we've tied it in again to our strategic plan, which Anne-Marie will get us started on. And the purpose is just to give you a snapshot. However, you need to know that school administrators go through this with a fine-tooth comb and they actually showcase it to their staff. It's one of the first meetings, I think. I think one of them even gave the results at the end of last year, and their staff was really grateful. And then they craft their goals with their, school improvement team around some of the things that they're seeing, the challenges probably mostly, and also the things that they're doing well on that they want to keep doing well on. Like finding a champion in the building. Who's that go-to person for every kid, right? So I'm going to let Anne-Marie take it away.
Okay. So like much of the work that we do, school climate is connected to our strategic plan, specifically pillar number 2, cultivate a rich and vibrant learning community. This pillar includes language that actually appears in our surveys we administer, and for example, ensuring students have at least one trusted adult and inquiring about meaningful interactions with our schools. Ultimately, we want to foster a safe and inclusive environment that engages and empowers our students, our families, and our staff. And these are our key performance indicators of our strategic plan. You're probably familiar with them because we introduced you to them last June during, I believe, a community of the whole meeting. The 5 indicators along the top of the chart, beginning with academics, connect to each one of our pillars. For example, the academics indicator there, key performance indicator, is directly tied to pillar number 1, accelerate academic achievement. That makes sense. If you look to the far right, which the chart there where it says communications and climate, that's where we're going to focus our attention today. And those are the key performance indicators connected to the pillar number 2, and specifically our climate survey. Anytime you see a gold star in our data set, you will know that that is tied to one of our key performance indicators. And I'm going to have Denise open up each one of the links here. This indicates, or these links are attached to a full data set. So it will give you access, and each of the data sets you can see on the bottom tab connects to the secondary climate survey and then the elementary data climate survey. So you have it, it's sorted by school, and then it gives you the district information. So all of that is linked for you, and you have access to that. And then, if you go back to the main page there, Denise, you'll see each of the key performance indicators. The first one is related to identifying a trusted, whether our students can identify a trusted adult at the elementary level. The second key performance indicator is identifying a trusted adult at the secondary level, our secondary students specifically. Whether our staff connects our professional development to whether it connects directly to their position. And then the fourth one is parents who believe, the percentage of parents who believe that there are opportunities for involvement. So you can see when we selected these key performance indicators in our strategic plan, we wanted to tie them to something very specific. In this case, we tied them to the culture and climate survey.
Could we take a look at that and
Yes.
show the data? And I don't know if it can be seen better
Which one,
this way, but
Susan?
even if you tell us what the data is, because that was good. We did that today together,
Sure.
and I think it's very telling.
Well, that's going to come up in the,
Okay.
it's going to come up in the
later.
presentation,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. But you can see it all there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, these are each hyperlinks, so you can actually see all of the questions that the students were asked.
And so anything that is highlighted is going to come up in the actual presentation. So those are our key performance indicators.
And you'll have elementary and secondary, as Anne-Marie said, for each of the hyperlinks. So it's organized by school, and then Lauren did a district average.
And how did you pick out the one in yellow?
So the things that are highlighted in yellow are those that are tied directly to our key performance indicators in the strategic plan.
So the teachers working with Anne Marie selected those as things that we really wanted to identify and pay attention to
And
in
focus
our
on, yeah.
next 2 years.
Okay.
So Denise, if you go back to the presentation, the next slide. And so this slide provides specific information on who completed the survey, both the number of I guess you would say respondents, and the percentage. With the exception of the parents, you can see here, the parents, we just have the number. And the reason for that is because it's difficult to get the exact percentage, because you may have parents completing the survey that have multiple, I guess you'd say multiple children within a school. We only ask them, when they have multiple children within the same school, we only ask them to complete one survey. And so it's difficult in that case to get an accurate percentage when we only require one form. If we were to estimate at the elementary level, we're estimating about 31% of parents based on 1,523 students. And if we were to estimate at the secondary level, we're estimating approximately 11% based on 826 students, meaning that at least one parent completed a form. But again, this does not account for multiple siblings or multiple children in the same school where one form is needed. So generally, I would say the completion rate is pretty high in terms of the number of students completing, the number at both of the elementary levels, both lower and upper. Our staff levels are generally very high, and I would say our parent rate is pretty high, with the exception of the secondary level, which again we had to really estimate at this level.
And all the surveys were done online?
And all the surveys were done online.
And what was the time frame they had to complete them?
I'm going to defer to Denise on that because I don't recall.
It was basically the month of May.
Okay. Adrian?
Yeah, I was going to ask on, do we know, we have secondary surveys, which is middle school and high school.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have breakouts for middle school or high school?
Yeah.
Because specifically, I have questions on that in general throughout, but specifically on this one, I'm curious if my guess is that as students get older, they're probably less apt to do things like this. So I'm wondering if this is heavily weighted in middle school, and I could be opposite on that. Maybe it's heavily weighted in high school, but I'm wondering if as far as
No,
the respondents.
that's a good question. They actually give the students time during the day to do it. So at the high school, the students complete the survey during CTL, Commitment to Learn, and at the middle school, they complete it during their advisory. So time's given during the day. So I would imagine that the students that didn't complete it were either absent or had somewhere else to be during that period, maybe making up a test or meeting with the teacher. So we try to have as many students completed as possible because it's time's allocated during the day.
Is there a way to break it out, middle school versus high school?
Yeah, like
Oh,
you
yeah,
did, like
that's
you
what
did
you
the
got.
elementary.
They have it right up
Yeah.
there.
You have it?
Yep.
Oh, I can't.
Yep.
Can you tell us what it is?
We have it for each question. Actually, this is the percentage of students that responded positively. I wasn't sure what your question was, so I
Well,
put
my
this
question,
up.
so on that page overview, it says 69% of students responded in general, meaning 31% didn't. So my question was, do we know what percentage in middle school versus what percentage in high school?
Yeah, we can get that for you.
Just like you did for the elementary
Do
level.
we have it now?
No, I think we'd have to have Lauren go in and disaggregate that. But we can certainly get that.
She did disaggregate it to show, how each group of students felt, percentage-wise in favor, so.
So you just want to know the percentage of the students that completed the survey?
So far, yeah. So,
Okay.
well, I would say all three of those categories, student, staff, parents,
Right.
between the secondary schools.
Right. I think Anne Marie addressed the parents. We gave a rough estimate for parents. I think it was 33% for elementary and 11% for secondary.
So I asked for the difference between middle school and high school, so just secondary.
The secondary was 11% for parents.
Now, he's asking if you can do it for middle school.
Break it out. Okay.
How many high school parents?
Okay.
And the
So
same
you'd
thing
like
for the
students,
and the same
staff,
thing for the
and
students.
parents. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
That's okay.
All right, anything else before we go on?
And I know you've done a lot of research, especially recently. What kind of results in surveys really showcase that you've got a good sampling? Like, I feel like with the staff, we got probably a better sampling. I think they took it during faculty meetings.
They did.
Yeah. And students, we had them do it, like you said, in those different periods.
I think
So those are
traditionally,
pretty high numbers, the, 69, 77%.
yep.
You probably could answer that question, Mike, when you get survey results. But you can kind of count on them telling the story pretty much if they're that high.
Okay, ready to go on? Did you do this one yet, Anne Marie, or did you want me to go on?
So safety is another
Oh, Susan did this one.
big bucket, of course, on our strategic plan. And we'll be looking at that. But one of the things that was mentioned was that students feel like they have someone to go to in the building, that a confidant, a teacher, an adult, that they can, be able to share information with. We have the SROs in both the middle school and the high school, which add that extra layer of security. We've put in a COPS grant. We have not heard. We've reached out to them, but they have not made decisions yet. But in that grant proposal, we added a couple SROs that could share the elementaries. So, and the other security measure that has been provided by the district, and it came through a CIP, was the partnership with the police department, in particular on mutual links. And we've already had several,
Trainings?
and, tried out this device. But what happens is the police and fire department can see into the building digitally. There are cameras that can look in, and if an alarm goes off or the buzzer goes off, the security goes off, then they go right to that area where the security was breached. And then they can look into the building virtually instead of, grabbing maps and kind of going through the building. This is much more
Is it,
concise.
when you do the surveys, like feeling safe at school, I feel safe in my classroom at school, do you ask the reasons why they don't feel safe? And what are they saying?
We have, for the older students, we have an open-ended response. Most of the students at the secondary level, particularly the high school, said it was the bathrooms. And we're working with the high school administrators to, repair or replace any of the vape detectors that have been damaged, because one of the reasons why the students were uncomfortable in the bathroom was because of students that are vaping in the bathroom.
And what about on
And
this
I
page
saw
is
a
the
whole
element?
list from Matt that he can actually come and talk
You
to.
would have to raise your
I'm sorry.
hand, Susan. And on this page, the elementary level, what are the students saying?
Sure, so let me get to the elementary. So you can see, this is early elementary. And for early elementary, we ask, let me scroll down. I feel safe when I ride the bus. That was a question. I feel safe in my classroom, and I feel safe in the hallways.
And what were those percentages like?
I feel safe in my classroom. The average was 86.46%. I feel safe in the hallway is 70.34%. I feel safe in the CAF is 78.72%. Playground, 66.84%. Restroom, 65.4%. And bus is 75.26. We didn't have any open-ended responses for the elementary because we tried to, kind of capture all of the different settings in the questions. And then for the upper elementary, very similar. We asked, I feel safe in my classroom, was an average of 64%.
Can you zoom
I-
in on that at all?
Pardon me?
Can you zoom in on that screen by any chance?
Sure. Nope, that's an add-on.
So, what do you think of that, Denise? 64%, I feel safe in my classroom.
Oh, there we
I thought it
go.
was higher in the classroom. I can't see it though. I'm blind.
Let's see. I
That's
feel
for
safe
upper
in my
elementary.
classroom.
Higher
This is
for the littler kids.
Yep, this is upper elementary.
Quite a bit.
So I think that the older students may be more aware of, events that are happening, either that they hear on the news or that they're learning in current events. So I think that as the students get older, they're obviously more aware of things happening in their environment, and that could be influencing how they're feeling when we talk about safety. We've also,
Jen has a question.
oh, sure. Go ahead, Jen.
So I'm a semi-blind too, and like I can't see the headers. Can you see like a lower score for like the schools that were sort of impacted by the homeless people? Like the,
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That would be CK, right? Column C.
Things bigger.
and themes. So,
And
so it's
themes, the
second one
last
and
column.
one?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. CK, yep, is the third column, and themes would be 3, 4, 5, the sixth column. So let's
Do you
scroll back
see any
down.
influence based on that?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you
So
noticed
upper
anything.
elementary, let's see. I feel safe in my classroom. So CK is actually a little bit higher than some of the other schools. And so is, well, Thames is a little bit lower. I feel safe in the hallways. That's higher than the other elementary schools for CK.
Interesting.
Thames is is the lowest. I feel safe in the cafeteria. Again, Catherine Kolnaski was, well, just a little bit behind the first school, 67%. Thames is again the lowest. When we look at the playground, we have Catherine Kolnaski at 58%, which is the highest of all of the schools. Thames, the lowest. So there is a pattern. Good question, Jen. When it comes to the restroom, Catherine Kolnaski is 55.7% feels safe. Thames, again, is trailing at 43.6. Trip to school. We have very few walkers, obviously, at CK because it's so far up the hill.
Yeah.
So 50% feel safe coming to school, which is similar to Thames. Whereas Thames, there are quite a bit of walkers. And that would be it for elementary.
Yeah, okay. So,
That was a very good question.
yeah, no. I just wanted to see if
Yeah.
the two were the lowest, but
Yep.
Dean has a question. What's that, Jen?
yes, thank
Dean
you.
has a question.
So I can understand where at the high school, maybe the middle school, but definitely at the high school, we have an issue with the bathrooms.
Yeah.
When I went to high school, you didn't go to the bathroom. You held it all day because that's just, it wasn't for vaping, it's just that it was not a crowd you wanted to be involved yourself with. So, and all you have to do is walk by the room where the door happened to be open and you could tell that inside it was another world. So it was a place you avoided, I think.
They also had smoking lounges back then, right?
They did, and there was a ramp in the back where the teachers and the students smoked, together. But at the elementary schools, when kids don't feel safe in the bathroom, that can't be, tell me that's not vaping.
No, I don't know.
So why wouldn't they feel safe in the bathroom? Why such low numbers in some schools? Like Thames, I think, was in the 40s or something. Yeah, I feel safe in the restroom at school. Well, the Thames River was 43%.
Right.
I'm just wondering what might account for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know if they see the bathroom as down the hall and, kids from other grade levels are using it because the bathrooms are in the classroom for the kindergarten.
Right.
But once they get older, they're using larger bathrooms. But I don't know. We'd have to probe a little bit more about that.
I wonder
We
if
see
it's,
the elementary principals tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we can ask them
because across the board, the average is 49%,
Yeah.
less than half.
for the bathroom.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
interesting for elementary school.
Is that the scariest place, the bathroom?
That's the upper elementary. I mean, I do think the bathroom is the one time where the students are unsupervised, right? It is the one time where teachers will sometimes stand outside the door and wait. They're not necessarily in the bathroom with students.
Do we think that there's intimidation by older students in the bathrooms?
know.
I don't want
That's
to
a
go
good
because that's where I
question.
met Jake last time, and I want to go in
Yeah.
there.
I don't know, it's interesting.
It is a good question.
Did you show the upper grades too?
This is upper, yep.
I mean, the secondary, have we done that?
No,
Okay.
the student elementary.
I
Adrian has
thought
a
we
question.
had the, oh, sorry.
Yeah, and this is more of a procedural question, because some of those numbers I would love to dig into a little bit more specifically in individual schools. And I know we haven't really gone over the testing data yet. And I was looking back at last year's minutes, in my recollection last year, we did a couple of schools a night when we went over testing and climate. So I guess my question now is, are we planning on doing that again this year so we can kind of so we can dig into some of the concerns that are, not necessarily in the overview slides, but in the, in the details that you were just showing us.
So before we go on, I just wanted to highlight that we have 4 themes in the data that you're about to see. The first one is safety, that we've already started.
Wait,
Next,
I didn't think Adrian's finished, and then Jen had some.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so if we are planning on going over it that way, that's great. And then second, can the board get that breakout data so that we're prepared for those meetings? Because, this meeting, we didn't have that data to review prior to. So before we get to those,
This data?
the one that was just up on the Excel
Yeah,
spreadsheet.
it was sent home Friday in your packet.
No, we didn't have what you had up there.
Oh, you got a paper copy, not an electronic version?
No, we have this.
Oh, okay, yes.
So we don't have the actual data, we just
Oh,
have
okay.
the summary.
Gotcha.
I think they had it the first.
I thought
when we
you
first
had it. Sorry
presented
about that.
This is the second time. So it should be on those links, and I think you get it in the agenda packet digitally. So you did have, you could
Right,
go on the links to
right.
see it, but, you can do a deep dive and
Can you
see
just
all
send
that.
us that?
We can resend it,
Or-
sure.
that's
Resend.
public
Sure.
now anyway, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
Sure.
yep, no problem.
And then,
And Jen?
Yeah, I thought we had the technology where we could tell what kids are in the bathroom, like they're
Well, they
like-
sign out. They have to sign out of the classroom, so the teacher knows.
Yes, but I thought it was digitally monitored so that like kids can't run into each other who are not supposed to.
I think that's the
thought-
high school.
Oh, is it just a high school?
Yes,
Okay.
it
I
is.
wasn't sure if like we could tell like if there were older kids and
Right.
younger kids and that's why they were scared.
Your traffic controllers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
No.
just the elementary.
Just okay.
Yeah.
Just high school is that technology.
Okay, so the
you.
4 themes, you're welcome, are safety, belonging, respect and inclusion, and professional growth. So again, we'll go back to our first theme of safety. We're going to look first at our elementary school students and looking at how many responded that they feel safe in their classroom. And we have it broken out by early elementary, which is K to 3, upper elementary, K to 2 is early elementary, 3 to 5 is upper elementary. And what we've done this year is we've kind of moved away from the pie charts and moved to a bar graph so you can see the 3-year comparison. So for the first set of data, if you look at the 24-25 data, we have 85% of the students reporting that they feel safe in their classroom for the early elementary, and then we have 63% at the upper elementary that feel safe. And again, we surmise that as events are happening in our world and in our community, students that are a little bit older are more cognizant of that, and it may impact their feeling safe in school.
And I would say also social norms that kids, as they get older and into middle school, the peer interactions, they, sometimes buddy up with a certain group and maybe don't feel as safe or welcome, and maybe hear things on the playground that would be hurtful.
When we
But
look,
we really don't know.
We don't know.
we don't know. No.
I'd like to know, though, but we don't know.
When we look at the adults, overwhelmingly, we have the first slide on the left is our parents at the elementary level. We ask them if they feel that whether or not the school is a safe and secure place for children to learn. And overwhelmingly, you can see almost 98% responded yes. And similarly, the staff, we have about 89.5% reported feeling safe at school.
And for this one, do you have the school breakdown also?
We just have lower elementary, early elementary, upper elementary, and secondary.
Okay.
It's probably in the data set, though, right?
Yeah.
It's in the
Yes,
data
it would have been in the data set, but not the percentage. Well, yes, the percentage
It's
that
in-
responded.
Yeah, that'll be in the data set.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Dean and then Adrian.
I've got an observation that I think is common to everything. I noticed that all the percentages are, we haven't gotten to the point where we're comparing period to period. Are we making progress or are we, rolling backwards? I expect we will. Everything is out to the second decimal place. And what we're seeing are percentages that are meant to be, this is probably what's true. We've given a survey out. Students, staff, parents have answered questions. Not all of them, but most of them have answered the questions. So we extrapolate and say this is what everyone is saying. We figure that if 69% said, answer the survey, there's another 31% out there that probably would have mapped the same way. But we don't know that. So there's a certain level of confidence and lack of confidence in the numbers. So when I see the second decimal place, I'm thinking, I wouldn't go out that far because you really don't know. It's true arithmetically that that's how that works, but I actually don't know what the margin of error is. So when we say that, just 24-25, staff survey, elementary, report feeling safe, 89.52%, what's the plus minus on that one? And that would be useful when we do start to compare period to period. Are we going up or are we going up or going down? Because if we experience, say, it looks like a 1 point improvement from the prior year, we'd say, hooray, it's a 1 point improvement. But if the margin for error is plus minus 5%, you can't draw any conclusions from that. So moving forward, I want people to consider that we don't actually know how everybody would have answered, and therefore all of this information is plus minus. Some unknown percentage, and I don't know whether Lauren could divine that. I'm not a statistician, but I am aware that there's a window you're usually talking about rather than a fixed point.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And keep in mind, the data really, we're looking for trends, and we're looking for areas that we can improve upon in our school climate improvement plans and in our district strategic plan.
Right. And my point is, I wouldn't, without more information like what the margin for error would be, I wouldn't be prepared to say, I see the numbers changing, there's a trend up, there's a trend down, unless I know where I am in that window. Because if I'm well within that window, it may be that every year is actually the same. But we see an improvement, but we're still in that fudge area. I'm like the fudge, for lack of a better term, that margin for error. So we're not actually making any improvement. Or we are making improvement, we just can't tell because it's murky.
So Denise, just to clarify, like when you look at the parent survey, can you give us the percentage from 22, 23,
Sure.
all the way up? And you had collected some data to say which ones had more significant growth
Sure.
in the past 3 years.
Sure. So, these are really strong numbers of the folks that responded. In 22-23, we had 99% of the parents report that the school was a safe and secure place for their child to learn. 23-24 was 97.92%, and 24-25 was 97.94%. So again, we're looking for trends, and I think if you're going to make some generalizations about the data, you could say that certainly our parents feel that school is a safe place for their child. This would not be an area that we have to focus on.
It doesn't vary that much.
Here you're already maxed out. Again, I wouldn't look at that and necessarily say, the percentages are falling, or there was a dip in 23-24, and therefore there was an actual, change in the parents' perception. They're all very high numbers, and they're probably all well within the margin of error. So it could be that the percentage is the same every year. The actual truth, which we can't know.
Okay, so moving on to the second.
has a question.
Yeah, just on one general note, it would be, I would request that we just do questions at the end of each slide because there's no page numbers, so it could be difficult to go back. But one thing I noticed is that in this presentation, we have a 3-year trend, which is different from last year where we didn't have the trending, and that was a request from last year. So I want to say
right.
I really appreciate
Thank you.
that we have trending, and I think that, having the trending helps us understand a lot.
I'll say that Lauren went back and watched the video and make sure she captured what the board was asking for, and we kind of
did a great job.
So she wanted to really make sure that she captured it. And certainly if you see things this year that you want to suggest, do that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just wanted to say that I noticed that because I noticed, I watched the video too. So I really do appreciate you making those modifications. Another thing, though, so the staff survey, elementary, to me, parents are going to have all their individual views of what safety is and stuff, but the staff is in the building every day, and we have about 10% of the staff say they don't feel safe in the buildings. Do we know, I mean, there's no comments in this presentation that I see here. Do we have any, I mean, were comments asked for in these surveys?
We had 2 open-ended questions at the end for the parents and the staff. And then we had some fill-in-the-blanks for the students at the secondary level in terms of safety.
And I think one was, do you have those questions, those
Sure.
open-ended questions?
Sure.
You can restate.
So a staff member would just click, I do feel safe, I don't feel safe, and the number goes in here, but there was no question specific or commenting about that.
Right.
specific question.
The open-ended questions really didn't address safety.
But they could have addressed it because of the open-ended.
They could have.
Open-ended question. So if you say.
So the staff open-ended question was, and we asked them to please refrain from using individual staff names, which they did. What is one practice or initiative you've observed this year that you believe positively contributed to our school environment? And then what is one area where you feel improvements could be made to enhance staff and student experience? And these responses are being used by the principals to help guide their goals for this year. And there were similar open-ended questions for the parents, but it was phrased in terms of your child. So, for example, what is one practice or initiative at your child's school that has positively impacted your child's educational experience? And what is one area or aspect of the school that you believe could be improved on? And how do you think this change would benefit your child's educational experience? So really getting at some of the practices of the school that are, highlights, and as well as areas that they'd like to see continued growth and focus on. So we wanted the comments to be a little bit more constructive.
So do we have specifically talking about safety and security and the staff, do we know why 10% of the staff don't feel safe and secure?
Well, they certainly could have indicated in terms of one area that they feel improvements could be made, they could have highlighted
Was that talking about?
safety or security in the actual building if they chose to.
And I think the principals do get them into focus groups to review that and to give more insights and
Yeah, all right.
discuss it. Yeah, they follow up with it.
So
But-
we did give them an
I'd say to
opportunity.
Adrian, I think his answer is no.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I get that's if there's conversational follow-up,
Yeah.
that sounds like a reasonable response to that.
Yeah.
But we don't know specifically
No,
why they
it's
don't
at the
feel
building
safe.
level.
At the
Yeah.
building level.
But we're going to trust that the principals do have a feeling for the staff that don't feel safe and try to address that or something. I just see these numbers have been essentially flat for the
Yeah,
last
they are.
couple.
Yeah, it's also important to point out that there is a district safety and security committee that Sam Kilpatrick coordinates, and it has representatives from every building. So they're continually talking about safety, security. That's where the new app on the principal's phone came from. I don't have it, so I can't remember the name of it. Mutual Link?
Yes.
That's where Mutual Link came from. So that's a committee that talks about improvements that we could make to the safety of the building.
And includes the fire marshals,
Right.
police.
Did you ever think about, like, if sometimes on surveys they'd say, if the answer is no, why or something like that and try to
We have,
it
but
down
we've
that
we've
way.
tried to keep the survey as streamlined. One of our goals is to keep it very streamlined, because if it's a lengthy survey, people won't take it.
I agree.
So we try to make it, as efficient as possible so that people will take it and they'll finish it and submit it.
Beth?
Jen,
So, on the safety one, you know how like the kids had like the bathroom, the hallway, the classroom? Were the teachers or the staff's question geared that way too? So in the data we could see?
No.
No? Okay. Because I wasn't sure, but this is elementary, but I was looking at the secondary, it's even lower. I wasn't sure if they felt like some teachers felt like the kids were the ones that were threatening.
Well, I mean, it could have been. You never
Yeah.
know. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that when people take a survey, they're very influenced by kind of, their immediate experiences, so what's happened recently. So maybe some of the events in the community, maybe some of the events, that were happening locally were impacting them, or maybe even events in their classroom.
Okay.
That's a
Great.
very good point.
And Mike, do you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I was going to make the point that you just made and also add on, I think that you're alluding to, that over these 3 years and continuing, the safety measures in the schools have just increased and increased. So there's more and more layers to, make the school environment as safe and secure as possible.
And that's not only being in Groton, but that's also seeing outside of Groton in the larger community and things that have happened. So,
Right. Okay. Okay, so the next section has to do with the secondary students. We kept this question in because when we first opened the new middle school, there were concerns about the bus ride, having both the middle school and the high school students on the same bus. So we wanted to be able to compare from year to year how people are feeling, specifically the students with their ride to and from school. And we changed the question a couple years ago to not just ride but trip, because we have so many walkers, especially in our military schools and predominantly our neighborhood schools. So in terms of trip to and from school being a positive experience, we have, at the secondary level, we have about 84% of the students responding that it's a positive experience, which is overall consistent with years past. So in terms of the students' perspective of their trip to school, their perspective is that it's a positive, safe experience overall.
and it kind of is pretty consistent past 3
Yeah.
years.
Right.
And I can remember when we first decided to do that, I said, you're going to have like these automatic bus patrols, because you're going to have high school kids with their siblings and neighbors taking this bus ride, and it'll probably be the middle schoolers who are sitting more towards the front who are going to get in trouble. And we actually had a group of high school students on a particular bus who came to administration last year and wanted to talk to them and send out a survey on what other kids were seeing on the bus ride, and it tended to be some of the younger students kind of being loud and whatever.
But I've looked at many tapes for the secondary buses, and they're sleeping. The kids are pretty much sleeping in the morning. They've got their hoodie up, their headphones on. Those buses are quiet in the morning.
But in the afternoon, it's a different story.
Yeah. And in the afternoon, they're not quite as crowded because kids are staying after school.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Any question, Mike?
I'll add to that. As a parent at the time, I was concerned about the middle school, high school bus combined, but it seems to overall work very, very well. It saves students time, and it's allowed, I guess, the high school to start later, which even though it's early, it's later than it used to be. That's good for learning, and in terms of transportation, the way it's really saved the school system and the town a lot of money.
And parents can do one drop off, basically. They can drop the high school kid and then go to the middle school.
Right, right.
Any other questions?
Oh yeah, I did
Okay,
that.
Mike.
So I noticed when you click on the links, I think you have those Excel sheets.
Yes.
The other safety one I saw was about the bathrooms, which for the secondary.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so it's good to see that. but it'd be great, like for the
the
elementary
younger?
students to ask that classroom safety one as well.
Okay.
And I'd be interested in seeing the cafeteria. I was thinking the classroom, definitely.
We have that question, but we didn't ask why they don't feel safe.
But see, they do have,
Oh, for the
Yep.
Fitch too? I think
For
it may
the,
not, I couldn't find it.
let's see, I thought you meant for the elementary.
Elementary, definitely, but for Fitch and
Let's
Groton Middle
see.
School, I didn't see it, and I think at least ask that classroom question next time, and the cafeteria one's a good one to ask as well, I suppose. Yeah.
Here's my trip to and from school.
And then the
And
bathroom,
I feel safe when I'm in the bathroom.
which is better than the
Yep.
elementary.
Yep. Yes, it is. And do you feel there is an area of the school that is not safe?
Yeah.
And the responses that we received primarily were at the high school, the bathroom across from the cafeteria, because that's a busy bathroom during the lunch waves and in the morning. And the administration has actually limited the number of students that can go into that bathroom at one time. They have 4 passes only for students, and there's adults that are monitoring the bathroom. So they are aware of the issue, and they are addressing it.
and the restriction on phones
Yeah.
has helped, they've
Yeah.
noticed.
But it'd be good to ask that classroom one too, because as we're going through, it's not about the actual physical space of the classroom having something unsafe in it. It's just the feeling of safety or not.
Yeah.
When you're in the classroom learning environment.
Interesting. This question 22 is pretty open-ended in terms of, do you feel there's an area of the school that is not safe? The 2 responses we received were some of the bathrooms and some of the stairwells that are a little bit more isolated and people can't see you. So there are some stairwells where you can kind of go underneath the stairwell. Those are the 2 areas that came up in terms of not feeling safe.
And
Is that in a high school? or
That was
middle
mainly for the high school.
school?
Yeah.
But see, that gives us information, even me, district-wide, like,
Yeah.
well, let's get more cameras in those hallways.
Right.
Because that is kind of a place, they can be kind
Right.
of lonely places, and you're the only one on the steps,
Right.
you know?
We've heard.
Or they can be very crowded.
But it'd be good to add that classroom one in, because I expect you'll find,
Do you feel safe in your classroom?
yeah, I expect you'd find quite high numbers feel safe in their classroom, because it's so directly tied to their actual learning. It'd be good to ask that, and you have continuity from the elementary on. So
Yeah, that's.
Okay, we can certainly add that.
I think it'd be like you'd have these high green bars, which
Okay.
Any other questions?
And then lastly, I think this is rounding out our security, or our safety theme. This is in terms of the adults. So at the secondary level, overwhelmingly, and you can see this year was the highest out of the 3 years, that the secondary parents felt that the school was a safe and secure place for their child to learn. So that's really reassuring. And then similarly for the staff, it was, this year was the highest percentage of staff that felt that, yes, their building is safe and secure. So I think all the steps that the district is taking to make sure the buildings are safe and secure is paying off.
But we still don't know specifically why the 18% do not fail that way.
And we'll talk
And I
to the
don't know if-
principals about that, because they set their own personal goals based on this too, culture and climate, the areas they really want to tackle.
Right.
And then are going, probably tied in with the school improvement plan.
but those are probably real trends upward, which is good to see.
Yeah, which is good.
Right.
Yeah.
We're moving in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Dean?
So, staff survey regarding safety. Do we know anecdotally, are teachers saying, well, I personally am okay, but I think the building could be tightened up. The last place I worked at had X, Y, and Z, and I'm a little concerned maybe we have some holes in our safety, and that feeds into their response. That, well, my building is safe and secure. Well, it could be a lot more safe and secure. Not that there's any sort of a threat within the building, but they feel that in an event, maybe they feel vulnerable compared to whatever they think safety ought to be in the school. I don't know. Because if you have dozens of adults in a building, they've all got different ideas about how the building ought to be run.
Absolutely.
So I didn't know whether there's anything floating around anecdotally about, they should have more locked doors, or, we keep complaining about the door over in the dark corner back there, and it's always unlocked, and they never seem to do anything about it, or something like that. Or maybe it's bathrooms.
As far as the staff?
So there's staff bullying other staff in bathrooms? Are they vaping in the
But we
bathrooms?
can definitely follow up. We have an elementary principals meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we can absolutely follow up
Yeah.
with, how they're gathering more data and how they're doing a deeper dive on some of these areas.
And it could be, like you said before, the staff know more about what's
Yeah.
going on, in the real world.
Yeah, we were working with them a lot last year in terms of, some of the things that were happening in our broader community, in terms of, ICE agents coming to the school and making sure our protocols were clear. So there was a lot going on that I think might have influenced them.
And Jen, even with those, there were two situations with,
There
homeless
were.
folks
In
that
the
had made
communities.
threats. And you could see staff and parents, I went out, Anne-Marie and I went out with the police chief to PTO meetings, to faculty meetings, to sit and listen, because it was unnerving. So that's why I really wanted to do something more. And, even if I don't get that SRO grant, I'll come back to you and give you another idea, because I think it's that important.
All right, so moving on to belonging. Here you can see a gold star. So when we get to belonging, obviously is something that's very important, and it really relates directly to liking to go to school and having a positive adult that they can go to. So at the elementary level, we ask students if they like going to their school, and 75.44% responded yes. And then in terms of the students, we ask them if they're sad, mad, or worried, is there a trusted adult who can help you? And we did a lot of lessons at the elementary school through our character education program called Second Step. Teaching kids what is a trusted adult, and when are times when you would want to seek out your trusted adult. How can a trusted adult help you feel better? So we were very pleased to see the increase to almost 10 points. Well, it is 10 points, 10 and a half points, to 87.52%. Of students now feel that they do have someone they could go to.
And
this was a real area of focus.
This year, all schools will have Second Step, except for the high school.
Except for the high school. And it only goes K to 8.
Yeah.
Any questions on this slide? Okay.
Okay. Then at the secondary level, again, very important that middle school, high school students have a trusted adult. And last year was the first year that the middle school used Second Step for advisory. And they liked it so much that they're continuing it this year. So we have really great numbers at the secondary level. 86.8% can identify a trusted adult at school that they could go to. And then when we look at students' participation in extracurricular activities, we see, again, we're moving in the right direction. 71.35% said yes, they are involved. And we know that students who are involved in extracurricular activities and clubs tend to have a higher graduation rate. So this is definitely a data point that we feel is very important. We're pleased with these numbers.
Very yardstick-like, wouldn't you say?
And there are some students who have jobs after school, and we understand that. We might never get 100%, and it doesn't mean that those students that aren't in an extracurricular activity won't have a high graduation rate. But for the most part, the more engaged students are in school, the more likely they are to come every day and to graduate on time.
And to attend.
That's Adrian's point where all kids should be in some kind of sport and no kid should
Or
be
club.
left out.
Yeah.
I wanted to comment on the cuts in middle school, but I figured I would stick to the agenda. But maybe that's something you talk about at some point.
Mike?
Actually, I wasn't going to talk about the cuts, but looking at the secondary students, if you look into the Excel sheet that we'll all get, that is linked, the numbers are higher for the high school than they are for the middle school. And so it might just be that, as you go to high school, you tend to take on more extracurricular activities that are within the school versus extracurricular activities that are outside the school.
That's true.
But maybe it's worth digging into that a little more in the middle school and basically asking the students just what clubs activities would you like to see. You might find that there are ones that you never would expect, or that you're hitting all the right, covering all the right bases anyway.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It just had a long history of really lifting kids' voice and saying, come to us if you have an idea for a club.
Yeah.
And that's how new clubs have been invented, usually by students coming. Going
for
back to Joe Arcarice, right? And, yeah.
But then for the middle school, to bring them up a little,
Yeah.
it might be
bit more.
natural,
Yeah.
kind of a natural progression.
Yeah, it might be.
And it
But-
could be transportation. Does the middle school still
They
have
have
a
a
late
late
bus?
bus. Yep.
They take the
Yep,
late bus
4
together.
o'clock.
They have two different ones.
4 o'clock.
But they're still very much in club sports at that age too, and that's
Yeah.
one thing. But might find that they say, oh, I really like a such and such club. So,
Okay. And then looking at secondary school parents, again, at my child's school, there are opportunities for caregiver involvement, and that was 78.4% at the secondary level, which is really very impressive. And then comfortable talking to my child's teacher, we're just so thrilled at almost 96%. And I really have to credit, Rebecca and the training that she's done. Rebecca Bayes, our communications specialist, she's really going out and training everyone, every school. This summer she trained the nurses on Parent Square, and she trained our extended school year staff on Parent Square. And once those training sessions are done, the use of Parent Square just skyrockets.
And it's two-way, timely
Yep.
communication.
Yeah. So I was in a meeting, I was telling Susan and Anne Marie, I was in a meeting Friday about a student, and we decided we needed to go to a PPT. And the teacher took her computer out, and she messaged the parent through Parent Square, what dates and times are you available? Parent messaged right back, and we had the meeting scheduled before we left. So it's a great tool, and I think that both parents and teachers find it so valuable for that two-way communication.
Michael?
yeah, and I totally agree with that. And the Parent Square has really changed things quite a bit. And the trainings that she's talking about are very helpful. And maybe kind of circle back around on the teachers too, because there's some teachers that are sort of like model adopters of this in terms of communicating with their class back and forth, and understandably others that wouldn't, because they have different modes of communication already. So bringing that back around, kind of increasing that use of Parent Square.
Yes.
Because I didn't know about this until she gave her presentation, that it automatically translates.
Yes.
And that's
Spanish
sort
and
of access.
Portuguese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can add more. It's just a matter of checking a box.
And it's seamless for
Yeah.
each side. So that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yep.
That's a question. And then Anne Marie?
I'm sorry, I had to backtrack because it just came while, when we merged Cutler and Westside, did we lose some clubs? Because I felt like when they were separate, that there were clubs for the kids, and they were engaged at that point. So I'm just wondering, do you know if we lost any in the consolidation?
I don't know. I
Club
know that
offerings and stuff like that.
I know the consolidation happened during COVID, so it was a tough
Yeah.
time. And when we came back, I think it was a gradual build-up back to the clubs that we had.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's any that were in great demand at one school that weren't offered now at Groton Middle, but we can ask Mr. Bass.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anne Marie, and then you, Mike.
Mine is just a comment. I just want to remind everyone that when you see a gold star, that means it's connected to a key performance indicator in the strategic plan. So you may remember that already, and I don't need to remind you, but I'm just reminding you.
Well, that family engagement piece is in the strategic plan. It's a
Absolutely.
very important piece of the strategic plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we know parents like to engage on text. That's their preferred way of engaging with Parent Square.
Mike, go ahead.
I was just going to add, when the two middle schools combined, I think one of the concerns was particularly for, say, a sports team, that not that there wouldn't be sports teams, but the number of spots on the sports teams decreased because you have
Oh, yes,
two
yep.
sets of teams. And I didn't track that to figure out if that actually happened or not, but that was the concern. Like, say, if you wanted to be on the volleyball team, say, there are only a certain number of people that can be, but now you only have one school to do it instead of two.
Instead of two.
So, but I don't know. I mean, we could ask.
Could ask
Yeah.
when Mr. Bass comes.
Yes.
You can ask him that question.
Well, and I can find out from Mark Romano because he oversees both and to see if that's true. In high school, you have a JV and a varsity.
Yeah.
At the middle school, you have interscholastic, but you then have intramurals as well. But I don't know that there's intramurals for everything because I heard something about soccer, which is so popular, tons of kids. And I said, well, do we have a soccer intramural if kids aren't getting on and so many kids want to do it? He said, no, we don't have one of those. I said, well, maybe we'll want to do that. Maybe that's something we bring to the board and say, it's worth a stipend
Right.
to get more kids playing sports after school. So I did bring that up, but I'll bring it up again and talk to Mark to see what the data actually says. It's a good question, Jen.
Yeah, I'll just bring up what I do know about this, and I kind of mentioned this at the meeting last month, but when we were at Cutler, because my son was in boys soccer, there was 2 soccer teams at Cutler, plus Westside had at least one soccer team, so there's 3 teams, and now we have 1 at the middle school, so we are definitely down, and I just heard that lots of boys were cut. I don't know how many girls were cut, but I know that lots of boys were cut from middle school soccer. So
I will
would
look
be
into that.
curious,
Yeah.
curious to see if there's options.
We're absolutely saying that girls and boys need to be equal. Like you should have really
Yeah.
same-sized teams. And,
Yeah, they have 25 in each,
Yeah.
on the boys and the girls.
but I don't know if that's middle school. That might be high school.
That's middle school.
Oh, that is middle school? Okay.
Tell me we're not cutting boys to keep it in line with girls.
We aren't, but we've got,
No.
they've decided, determined a number that is a good number, working number on a team.
Because that Title IX has been done at the college level where schools have to comply with Title IX and they find that, boys' interest in sports and girls' interest in sports don't exactly match. And so some of the less popular sports have been axed in order to keep the stats in line.
Mark
I want to make
actually-
sure we're not doing the same thing.
No, Mark actually said there's more opportunities for girls than boys because of volleyball and a couple other sports.
Yeah, only in the fall, but
Yes.
but he was talking about maybe there's another chance to have something else
Yeah.
for the boys.
Is it a field limitation problem? Because before, maybe we had, 2 teams at Cutler, at least one team at Westside, but now we've got 1 school, 1 field, and we'd love to have more soccer teams, but we only have 1 field. So unless we do time bans, that you can't have 3 teams, for example, all using the same field. Right? Is that a problem?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be a good question for
Well,
him.
it's too late now for that. The field's the field.
Yeah.
That was interesting to hear that one school could have more than 1 team. I didn't know
I
that.
didn't
That's-
even know that.
Yeah, they
had
had,
2
at
teams.
Cutler, you had the varsity or whatever you would call it for middle school, and then there was kind of like the 6th grade team.
Oh,
But it
okay.
was just the younger kids to roam in. And I know just from, other, observing things, that we end up actually kind of shooting ourselves in the foot because we don't have enough of a feeder into high school sports. So
Yeah.
I think kind of going back to if you participate in after-school activities, graduation rates might be higher and attendance might be higher. So I think that increasing that middle school to encompass more children,
Would help.
Yeah.
might benefit us down the line too.
Well, we'll have to remember that, Adrian, at budget time.
Yes.
When we're doing our budget.
For the coaches.
Once we get the numbers from Mark,
Yeah.
if the numbers say that we need another coach,
Yeah,
we have to remember
Right.
to put that in the budget.
okay.
Yeah, Beverly.
Go ahead.
So I know we were just using soccer as an example, but we have a strong soccer, so that's why you could see it in the schools, right? From when they were
Elementary.
little, from elementary, so feeding up. So definitely, I think we really should look into not just soccer, but volleyball, basketball, and everything, because with it being so low, I gut feeling, like when Jonathan, because he was in Cutler, I feel like we have less. That's why I asked that question. But I don't know. And maybe what we could do, Susan, is have Mark attend one of our meetings, because he didn't show up last year
For what?
for any sports related or any like conversation regarding budget, sports in general. So it would be a great, it would be great to be able to invite him this year.
Yeah, and probably before we start getting into the budget.
Yes, yeah, so he can make a case of, or we can help direct
Yeah.
where we can make a case to like help, invest in our middle school.
Well, I know for football and a lot of sports, there's the town teams or the Pop Warners or those kinds, and then there's the travel teams. So a lot of our serious superstars are doing multiple teams. I have a granddaughter like that.
Even now, some parents don't want their kids to play football, but flag football is becoming very
Oh,
popular.
yeah.
It's going to be, I think, an Olympic sport, flag football.
Oh, wow.
Flag football.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, right? That's right.
So the next two slides I'm going to go through really quickly because the numbers are, there's
Yeah,
not a lot
sorry.
of, no, that's fine. Ask whatever questions you have. There's not a lot of room for improvement because the numbers are so strong. So here we have our indicator again for opportunities for parent engagement, parent involvement. You can see just really high at the elementary level, and then feeling comfortable talking to my child's teacher is just pretty much off the chart. It has been for the past 3 years.
Now, when we say opportunities for parental involvement, what specifically are we talking about? Like, what opportunities? Are you talking about the PTO? Are you talking about helping at the book fair?
Yeah, it could be anything, coming in for a curriculum night, a math night, a reading
We
night,
have a lot of after-school kind of times for families to come together.
Mentoring.
And they really fill the place.
yeah.
I think Chris Dolphinese had a STEAM night one night, and she came back and said, like, I don't know, 400?
Yeah, 400.
Something like that, a big
There were a
number.
lot of people out there. I
There was
went
a lot,
to that.
yeah, I did too.
Any questions on this page?
Okay. Sure. Our third theme is respect and inclusion. So we're going to start with the elementary students. So we asked them if the school provide books that show all kinds of people. And our early elementary learners, 77.86% said yes, and the upper elementary, 69.2% said yes.
Now, when you say all kinds of people, are we talking about, do they show police officers and...
People in wheelchairs.
Okay.
Yep, all sorts of people.
Okay.
So developing a respect for differences.
And early have those beautiful picture books, so they actually do see people. But in the upper levels, they're reading stories about different people.
Yeah, it's more content, not as many pictures. And then for secondary students, we have had a focus, as the board is aware, of encouraging students to enroll in high-level courses. And the percentage of students who said that they feel they're able to select high-level courses was 77%. And then the percentage of students who reported that their teachers helped them to try their best was 88%.
Which I was delighted to see
Yeah.
that they feel that way.
Going back to the elementary school
Yeah.
and the upper elementary,
Yeah.
30% of the kids disagree with that they show all kinds of people. Now, what's your feeling on that? That's high to me.
Well, we're thinking that, potentially some of the publishers, have really been portraying people's differences more often in some of the newer books that have been published. So some of the older students might not have an opportunity to read those, newly published books. And their books don't have as many pictures, so they might not necessarily interpret that question the same way as a younger student that's reading those picture books.
Okay. Michael?
So it's just a quick one on that last one. Oh, maybe it's there. My teachers helped me to try my best. That last orange one is just an error. The green one's right, but then the last orange one's too high.
Okay, thank you. I'll let Lauren know.
It adds up more than
Oh, and
100.
And Sean has a question, Bev?
Yeah, how you doing? My question is, as you're evaluating what books to offer students, we were just talking about including everyone. Is that a criteria that's taken into effect when you're looking at selecting curriculum and books that you're giving to the students?
I believe it was a criteria in Wit and Wisdom. Yes.
Yeah, in a program, but even the library media specialists are very cognizant because they're usually making the choices for the library. And certainly our classroom libraries, depending on the different publisher, we've always kept that in mind as one of the goals.
Thank you, Sean. Nice to meet you.
Any other questions?
Oh, mine was the same as Mike's.
Okay.
So actually, Mike, so you found in the data that it was actually, was that 11.85 in that last column?
Well, it doesn't have the other column, but in the table, the 88.15 is there.
Oh, all right.
And it kind of makes sense for the other years, too.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so moving on back to the elementary, when we look at the staff in particular, the staff at the elementary school, we had 83% report that their building fosters an appreciation of student diversity and respect for each other. And then we had 91% report that the staff respects all colleagues regardless of their race, ethnicity, and culture. So really strong numbers in terms of the staff's perspective of the tone, the culture, the climate in the building.
What do you think of why do you think there's a decrease in the elementary level?
Well, we were talking today, we did get a Dear Colleague letter last year, that addressed some of the, less focus on the DEI initiative. So again, I think, some of the events that are happening outside of our school community could be impacting people's perceptions.
But it's a good follow-up. I mean, I will talk to the principals about how they're going to follow up on these things and kind of bring some of these ideas that you've brought out to their attention. See how can we get a better understanding.
Or both numbers are within the margin of error, and you
Yeah, that's
actually can't tell. I don't
That
know.
could be true. Yeah.
Can I just, deviating a little bit, I guess, more with the staff respects all colleagues regardless of race, ethnicity, and culture. How diverse is our staff? Have we gotten to be a little bit more diverse? So I'm just concerned that if it's not very diverse and the small population that is diverse is the one that's responding, that maybe. So I just want to investigate. It's just a question. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, it's good
You know what I mean?
insight.
So I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that what diversity we do have,
Are
It's
people
not-
feeling that they're respected?
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, Dean, you're going to be all over me for this one.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No.
Don't worry about Dean.
It's interesting you bring that up, because not too long ago I read an article that had to do with neighborhoods, and it asked different people, what they considered to be a diverse neighborhood. And when you broke it down, we generally think in terms of race. We don't think in terms of gender, for example, or even religious beliefs. When you broke it down, different populations had very different ideas of what they thought was diverse. So when we say diverse, we're touching on it right now. People have different views. If you're, for example, white, you'll say, oh, well, a few black people in my neighborhood, that makes it diverse. If you're black, you'll say, well, wait a minute. I think up to 50% of the neighborhood ought to be black. That's diverse to me. So we're not in agreement, if you will, in the aggregate as to what exactly we mean when we say diverse. People are expecting different things.
Right, it's different
So,
perceptions.
yeah.
You're right. You're right. And that's why we were talking today, we're probably never going to get 100% for every question, right? It's probably unrealistic to think that 100% of the people will respond positively to the questions, because people
Agreed.
have their own perceptions.
Otherwise, we'd all be robots.
Exactly,
right.
Yeah.
exactly. And we wouldn't have anything to work on.
Yeah, you think soon.
Question mark.
We wouldn't have anything to put in our plans.
You laugh.
So in terms of the secondary school staff, we have 83%, almost 84% of the staff responding positively that their building fosters an appreciation of student diversity and respect for each other. We're very pleased to see that. That's a huge growth from 22-23. And then we also had really strong numbers. 91.5% of the staff at the secondary level reported that among the staff there is respect for all colleagues, regardless of their race, ethnicity, or culture. So really, really strong numbers.
On both, the numbers are almost identical
Yeah.
for elementary and secondary.
Are they? Yeah.
Almost.
Almost as though, no. Yeah.
And then our last theme was professional.
24, 2025, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
We didn't do anything to do that. We had no fingers on that.
our last theme is professional
Hold up.
growth.
Any questions on that secondary slide? Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Denise.
And the reason we have professional growth in here is we want the staff to appreciate and have input into their professional learning, because if they have ownership in their professional learning, then they're going to feel a stronger sense of connectedness to the district, and there's going to be a mutual sense of respect for their learning and their content area. So again, you can see the gold star. This is one of our performance indicators. So we asked the staff if they feel they're able to participate in professional development that directly relate to their job. 68% said yes at the elementary level, and pretty similar, 68.25% said yes at the secondary level. Now keep in mind there are some PD trainings that we all have to do in terms of mandated PD each year for some of those, kind of non-negotiable topics. And, maybe some staff feel that some of those topics, like
Dry.
bullying or the IT. There's a pretty interesting IT module in there in terms of password protection, things like that. They might not feel that directly relates to their job. But, some of those are just mandated, by the state that we have to do each year.
I'm going to have Anne Marie jump in because she's been very involved in professional development.
I was just going to say, she does a great job seeking input from everyone.
Yeah, I think we try our best, of course, to really seek out the feedback from our teachers. In fact, right before this meeting, we met with the Groton Teaching and Learning Collaborative, and I asked very specifically if they had any feedback about the August professional development that they all engaged in. We went over the survey results in which they gave us, all of the staff had an opportunity to give us feedback. I asked them for additional feedback and to see if they had any suggestions for adjustments that we can make in anticipation of the November professional learning plan. So, all of that is really important to us. I let them know that, I read every single survey that comes in, read all of the comments, and it's really important to me that the professional learning that they engage in is meaningful, because no one wants to, be in a session that's, not important or related to their job. I always kind of approach professional development like, if I can get one thing out of a session, it's important to me. But I know that not everybody, kind of approaches it that way. And, sometimes people kind of come in and they listen to the presenter for just a couple of minutes and then they tune out. But, that's why you got to capture them right away. And so we try to do that the best that we can.
And give them time to work as a team,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
How is staff attendance at professional development?
Oh, really good, because they have to be here.
You have to have a really good excuse if they're not.
Yeah.
I have to say, too, that Anne Marie has really kicked it up a notch and really done such a fabulous job working with the teams of teachers and paraeducators. And this year she rolled out, and I think she shared that with you, we actually have our plan for the year just about. Since I've been here, we couldn't get it all the way done for the whole year.
wonderful.
We're always like for the next one, you know? And this year, even with our TLI days, she's got it rocking and rolling. And our parents have been so honest about the ones that they liked, and some of the ones that they get are, you know, on the computer, and they don't like that. They would rather have in person, so we
For
brought
November,
more
we
into
always
active.
have in
Always-
person.
Yeah.
We always
November,
have in
always,
person
yeah.
for them in November.
But
And we do
made
again.
an honest effort to bring more in person to them. So they've given us feedback on that.
Sean has a question. Sean?
Yeah, Emery, based on the conversations you're having with the collaborative and kind of the staff as a whole, are there themes for the type of professional development that folks are seeking?
You know, it really depends on the content area and the grade level. So, for example, you know, I'll give you a perfect example today. The library media specialists reached out to me today, and we generally we had like a general plan for that group, but they had an opportunity to present itself. The state group of library media specialists had a
Convention?
like a conference that they're going to do for all anyone that wants to for a library media specialist on November the 4th. And so our group wrote to me in an email and said, hey, this is a conference and it's going to be November 4th. For anyone that wants to register, can we attend? And so I was really glad that they came to me with that opportunity. And, you know, I set them up with my executive assistant so that they can register together as a team. And, you know, that was just something that they felt that if they can attend as a team and meet with other library media specialists from around the state, it would be a great professional learning opportunity for them. And then they can attend, you know, whatever sessions that they wanted to attend, and then, you know, work together as a team afterwards to kind of compare what they learned. I thought that was great. So it really kind of depends on, you know, if it's a particular grade level or content area. At our elementary level, you know, generally what we've been doing this year is they're going to have some math sessions and some literacy sessions, although I have to say in November they're going to have a very specific session with the Connecticut Science Center, so that's going to be a little bit different, but generally math and literacy is a common theme for them throughout the year. At the secondary level, at our high school, they've been working a little bit this year on SATs, and so that will be a common thread for them throughout the year. Hopefully that gives you some examples.
That does, thank you. And I appreciate you taking the extra initiative to make the registration process as easy as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Any other? Professional development, is this only teachers or
No.
paras too?
Teachers and parents.
Okay.
Teachers and paras.
Any other questions on this page?
Okay, we have some takeaways. You can see the stars. So the first star takeaway is our K-5 students. We're really pleased. We increased, as we noted earlier, 15.25% since 2022 with identifying a trusted adult. At the secondary level, a little less than the elementary school, but still an increase. 1.35% in 2022 increase, and then a 2.15% increase from last year in terms of identifying a trusted adult. The percentage of staff reporting that the PD is connected to their job is showing a steady increase each year. A dramatic increase of 20.1% at the secondary level is noted in particular since 2022. And the percent of caregivers that believe there are opportunities for involvement has decreased at the elementary level, but seen an increase of almost 4% at the secondary. And if you'll recall, the numbers are still really super high. And we will continue to examine the practices currently in place in order to make adjustments to the survey. So we've noted some of your suggestions in terms of safety in the classroom at the secondary level, and maybe adding an open-ended response about why they might say they don't feel safe in their school.
And the question that Mike talked about in the classroom, he doesn't feel safe in the classroom.
At the secondary level,
Yeah.
yep. And then while parents and guardians overwhelmingly agreed students were safe, safety will always be our priority.
Okay. Any comments from the board? Any suggestions or anything, Mike?
Just how, with the key performance indicators, it seems like at least for year one in the strategic plan, we're more or less where we'd want to be and grow from. That, I guess that's by design, really, but it seems like a lot of these are quite high numbers. It's not perfect, but
In this particular area of climate, school climate, yes. I can't say that for all of the other pillars, but we're doing really well in this one.
But you can see all of them when you click on that link. You can really read through all of them and get all, we wanted to give you kind of the raw data as you can see it, you know, and what people are saying.
So I did look through the spreadsheet, and I'm not going to ask in detail about that, but one that popped up with some high points, some lower points is like, I feel my school is clean and well maintained, and that's a very, very challenging job, both of those separately and then together. But that might be, that's just the staff is being asked this.
Yes.
And maybe at a school level, if there could be it'd be a big suggestion box, but like where are the specific areas, you know, like is it, for instance, would it be the bathrooms across from the cafeteria and Fitch? They could help increase that, because the staff definitely knows where things are working well and where things could be improved. Because one thing with the survey, it's an overall climate survey, and we were talking about like different topics where you could drill down, and that might be one just to ask the staff about. And I noticed there's sort of I'd like to see our numbers be a bit higher for the question to the staff is, do you feel the district is communicating effectively to you? I think we're at like low, but I think they could be higher. Some of that might just be that there's an intermediary, because do you feel that your school administration is communicating effectively to you is quite high, and so the school administration is getting information from the district, but we want to kind of look at that one as well. It's not low numbers, it's just not as high as some of the others.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nothing? Thank you.
Thank you.
This was great. Thank you. I
We
appreciate it. Thank you.
And I know you guys have a little drive. So we just have one more topic, so we're good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
So
Next is robotics.
robotics. So it's what keeps me up at night right now. I need to find a space for my aluminum falcon robotic team. I did listen carefully, though, to the suggestion of the board about SV Butler. And could that be a potential? I also had a meeting with Lori Ferguson, who's our consultant in this project. She had been the CTE coordinator and in Coventry, which did this work with EB. And so she brings a lot of expertise. She's retired now, so she's consulting with us. And we did a walkthrough, Sam and Matt and I. And for those who came with us the first time, the wood shop is still a mess. And yet the kids haven't been in it. So I have some concerns that we have space available that could be utilized if we needed it. And then there's, another computer lab that could be used. So really, when you talk about a manufacturing center, while the auto shop is going to be the main hub, there are other areas in that school that can also contribute to this. And then we went down the wing with Gabe Martell, who does the Project Lead the Way and does a lot of the engineering, and his classes have doubled. So I was so happy to see that. So we did that walkthrough. So after that, we were really talking honestly about what are the real logistics in this. And Lori says, if this is the planning year, she said, I am hopeful that we'll start the building and construction this year too, because I didn't think it would happen so soon. So it wouldn't be very feasible for the Aluminum Falcon Robotics team to be in that space that they're going to have to build and create. So I actually talked to Sam about it. He was waiting to hear back from the fire marshal on the SB Butler side of town on what are the feasibility of even using that space, because we would need his okay. So they finally had that communication this morning, and he said he needed a floor plan, so I actually found a floor plan, and he needed to know what equipment and what was their voltage and how heavy were they. So I had talked to Chris Jenkins, who has all this information. He's one of the coaches, and also Sherry Fakis, to tell them that this is what we're looking at as a possibility for the next year or two, to get you in a safe spot where you can utilize. And actually, in that floor plan of
Are you talking about this fourth
SB
program
Butler.
for this year? Mm-hmm. Okay. How
so,
soon can this happen?
well, it's a matter of getting the fire marshal to agree, getting him the floor plan, which I'm planning on getting him all the logistics this week. And then John Burt, I called John for his help and assistance, and he is really very positive about this as an opportunity that he thinks would work. But he
What
would
makes
have
us think that SB Butler is going to be any different than Mary Morrison?
Right.
well, they're different fire chiefs, and this building is basically not being used. So, I just will have to see what the fire marshal says. Now, John also said that he'll have to go to the town council once he knows about the fire marshal, and if it's a go with him, then he'll contact the the town council.
What's Plan B?
Well, Plan B could be, fitting them into Fitch, or John had recommended that, he said, we don't have the space for cafeteria, but he said at the Fitch Junior High that they could maybe put together some classroom space on a wing that could be utilized. So those are the three choices.
But then they will be able
Adrian.
to.
So I think the real complication is where we put the machinery, not the
Yeah.
classroom space. I'm sure we could find it in Fitch or anywhere, right? Any school building in the evening. So where to put the machinery is the difficult spot. So, so yeah, if Butler works out for a few years, my other thought is that we've been talking about robotics going with the manufacturing center a lot, and I would like to see in the manufacturing center plans robotics included, and everybody in agreement that whatever the design is, it can be workable. Because if it turns out we need a little bit more space to accommodate both of those things, maybe we need to talk about that as part of the manufacturing center.
Right.
So maybe it turns out we just need more space. We need to do an addition somewhere or do something.
Or utilize some of those other spaces that really aren't being utilized. Because the wood shop is really another garage. So you could do certain projects in there, and then,
Let's,
Yeah, if we were
let's
to,
think,
but I guess what we need to where I was going is, rather than saying we can do all of this, let's put it all on paper and then have everybody look at that paper and agree that that paper is workable. Because I just don't want to build a manufacturing center and then say, sorry, robotics, we can't really fit you because the use that we have is different than what we thought in the planning stage. So let's go through all of that right now in the planning stage, and if we need to modify the manufacturing center criteria a little bit, let's talk about that now versus later.
yeah.
And then separately, are we going to be voting on the manufacturing center?
We should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd rather bring you the plans so you could see it,
Yeah.
and see what
Well,
we're
we've been talking about it, and I know it's been
We should vote on it before the plan comes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jen?
I was
Are you finished, Adrian?
yes, thank you.
I was thinking regarding the manufacturing center, right? Like, regarding the manufacturing center, let's, I know we're trying to utilize space where we can find it at Fitch, but another option might be to increase one space. And not that, like, finding space in Fitch is not right, but let's think of, like, what good looks like, or what's the best look like, and if everything can occur, this is ideal, so that we have a room for robotics that I would prefer just like independent, right, from, could be adjacent, but not necessarily in the same spot, because there have been concerns voiced that, they don't want students touching their stuff, rightfully so. I don't want people touching my stuff. Like, you pay a lot of money and you take care of your stuff, and then suddenly it gets destroyed. So we need to look at, like, okay, if we had X amount of money, this is what the proposal will look like, and this, if we had Y, this is what it would look like, and then we can present that both to the town and to the corporate sponsor. Instead of just like, yeah, we'll make it work here, here, and here. Let's do a comprehensive plan to present, because we don't know what the town or the corporate sponsor can afford and what they're willing to invest. So let's just stop trying to look for spots and then come up with a plan. And looking for spots could be Plan B, could end up being Plan A, but let's put something very comprehensive together as to what would ideal look like.
Ian and then Michael.
Well, thank you. I just want to concur with Adrian and Jen as far as their comments, and I'm not going to repeat that. But I mean, I think an ideal plan would be best, a good place to start. And again, manufacturing needs to be a few years down the road, but the robotics need is immediate. So I definitely would urge that we get plans together on the paper, on the table, to figure out exactly like what is needed for one versus the other. And is the wood shop thing, would that space, if it got cleaned out and resorted, would that be sufficient? Is the wood shop being used now as a wood shop? I guess that's question one. And question two is, how can we prioritize a series of action plans? Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, if we don't know what the ideal goal is. And the ideal being somehow like both things being separate and sustainable. But I would hate to see robotics suffer a real harm while a theoretical program is being developed that's still years in the offing. So, thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, like kind of three questions. The first, this.
Wait, I had a question there about the wood shop. What's the wood shop being used now? Is that happening?
There are 2 classes, each have 10 kids in a class, and the teacher has been out. So they have done some, I would guess, drafting, but I don't know that they've been actually in the wood shop, but I could find out. It looks like people have been in the wood shop, however.
So theoretically, the wood shop should be in use, even if it is not actually in use.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Like 2 periods on an A day, let's say.
So it's a space we have to accommodate for. Thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, thanks. So my first question is there any possibility to just stay in the Pleasant Valley this school year? I know that we've gotten out.
I tried that. John said no, it's really being sold. We first did that.
Yeah.
That was our first route.
So that one's out. And then the SB Butler one, please also check into the actual climate control in there, because I know they have to keep a certain amount of climate control to maintain a building, but to be in it is quite different.
That's one of the most important safety concerns, is that we do air quality testing. They have kept Wi-Fi going to keep HVAC systems working.
Yeah.
So that I do know that, but I want to make sure and Sherry Fakis feels the same way. It needs to be clean, and we need to know that it's healthy.
Wi-Fi is important too, actually.
Yeah.
Sure. That's a good one. I didn't think about that. And then the other one is, so the new information that's leaning away from using the garage that's being actively cleaned out. And I'm sympathetic to how long that takes to clean out any space. Is that there's a chance that there might be like kind of the start of building this year, but that's probably not this calendar year. It couldn't be that.
No, she was saying that this is what she did in Coventry, that by the spring that they were getting things put in place, so.
So
So she said it could be, but this is like if all things go right. And I know construction doesn't usually work that way. But if all things go right, like we could have kids coming in and doing the program during the day.
and maybe Coach Fakis could talk about this, but I think they're more or less done in April. So even though they might start during the school year, could we like I'd like to at least have an option for the robotics team. So if SB Butler is the preferred one for these reasons, and if it works out, okay. But I still like us to have an option for kind of guarantee them at least the use of the garage at Fitch this school year.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know when
When do they
season
need
ends.
when do they need the space by? October?
Well, she has an open house in mid-October, and she would love to have it set up, but the reality is she's also done some fabulous robotics family events, pancake breakfast and all, where they bring the robot into the cafeteria and the families gather. So the kids can still do an open house. It might not be in that space yet, but I think they give the actual January is the initiation of the project, that they get the plans and they have to start problem solving. So that's the beginning of the actual team. But they do a lot of training then, November, December.
But I think it might wrap up around April. So I don't know if she can speak to that.
Is she there?
Yep.
Okay. Are you suggesting that we hold off, we clean out the garage and let the robotics people go in there, and then when they're done, do
I
something with
think
them?
we need more information though on it, if that's.
Hold that. Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. So my guess is the clean out the garage has to happen regardless, and that's actively being done. So that will probably proceed. It'd be good to have that proceed as it is, and then kind of push forward with that, having that as a viable space for this robotics year that I think might end in April. And then just whatever actual development for the manufacturing center, just say, well, that can't start until April 15th.
I would be with Michael on
But then
that.
what do we do with all of their stuff? Pack it up again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm with Michael and Ian. This has been going on for a while. They need a space.
I know.
They need a space.
I know it has.
And we actually knew Pleasant Valley was going to be sold. We heard it all in the town council meeting. So, now we're like backpedaling here,
Well, we do have an
So I'm
important
with
meeting
Mike on
coming
that.
up on Thursday with the consultant and the group. So that's the one that I'll give you the time and date that if you'd like to attend.
But the robotics team needs a space now.
I
mean,
know, but if
If the manufacturing center has to wait a couple of months, so be it. I mean, that's the way it is.
I am also supportive of the SB Butler if that all
Oh,
works
yeah,
out.
that works out. Yeah. Can I go to Sherry? And
Oh, yeah.
Michael, you wanted to ask her what question?
Oh, just she knows. I'm just guessing at the school, the Aluminum Falcons competition end time. But I figure it's like in April.
Sherry, did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the competition season ends mid-April. We do, however, continue to meet until typically the end of May. There are some other off-season competitions and some training that we do as we prepare for seniors to graduate, and we do drive team practice tryouts and things like that to prepare for the following season. So we do go till typically the end of May.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Adrian, you hear that?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to kind of go back to, we had basically a unanimous consensus of the board to ask the administration to concurrently plan on moving robotics to Fitch while pursuing the SB Butler project. So that robotics will not end up without a home this year. So I think the administration, at least the consensus of the board, was that the administration would keep working towards bringing robotics to Fitch while also seeing if SB Butler can work. That way we don't lose more time. So that I should have caught that in the minutes when we went over the minutes, but But that was kind of at the end of that meeting. If we go back to the video and watch, there was talk about that.
Well, Sam continues to persevere with the actual move. It's going to cost some money. I mean, it's going to have to be a specialized move because it's very heavy equipment. So in doing that, we can kind of get ready for it and then let them know where the equipment is going.
When can you start with that?
Well, Sam was sick today, first sick day in 11 years.
Okay, and
So he'll be back, and he is working on that and getting those numbers, for us, so.
Sherry, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When do you need to be in a location?
Well, typically we start meeting like now. Ideally, we would need to be set up by mid-October.
Okay. All right, Dean, you have a question, and Ian?
No, because, no, it's just going to be anger is what it is. It's not a question. Disappointment.
Disappointment.
Yeah.
That we don't have a space for them.
Yeah, that it's the middle of bloody September, and this hasn't been solved. And I realize we don't have magic wands where we can just, control time and space any way we'd like. But, holy smokes, this isn't the toothpick construction club. This is the robotics team. Like, we should have taken better care of them, as I'm frustrated.
Well, we've been really working hard to take care of them. And it's the kind of thing that I just don't want them to be moving back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So we have to come up with the best plan so that they'll end up at Fitch and have the space that they need.
Well, I think the board is saying, though, that the plan should be, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that while the SB Butler property is being looked at, that we should move them get them packed up and ready to go into that garage.
Oh, they're all packed up.
Okay.
Sherry and her team have done that, so they're all
Because
packed up.
how long do you think it's going to take us to figure out the SB Butler property? I mean, if a week is good, then a week, and that's it. And then the week will be the end of September. They got to get going.
Yeah.
So you don't have much time.
I know.
Ian?
Thank you. I just want to share Dean's outrage, if I can read it like that. And but I want to advocate for Mike's idea, and the idea, and Bev, you concurred as well. And really, we are 1 month away from them needing to be ready to go.
Yeah.
And we're already behind the 8 ball. It is past time. We have been talking about this as a board since July, but it's been known for a couple of years that this is coming. So we need to act now, and we need to get them into Fitch. The manufacturing theoreticals can wait, and be discussed and drafted, but the manufacturing is not going to come online this school year at all, to my understanding. And so why are we delaying taking care of the robotics team? Yeah, it's not perfect. It's not going to be permanent, but we're past that point of going for perfect, and we can't let the perfect be the enemy of good. And we need to get them in a place where they can operate for this season with some comfort and confidence, period. The children deserve better. This administration, in my opinion, has failed the students and failed the robotics team, and we need to make this right now. Listen, I don't appreciate having to have this conversation. I don't appreciate being interrupted when I'm speaking. I don't appreciate, no, I am being respectful. I've been respectful, and it's not working out. It's not working out. It's way too late.
Ian,
Okay, thank you. It's too late.
Your point.
We have to get moving. Make a space, and let's get going. Thank you.
Let's say this. By the end of the week, if we don't hear anything about SB Butler, that they go into the garage. They have to go somewhere. So.
That's fair. We need to act.
And then they're packed up and they're gone into the garage.
Thank you. I hope that comes to fruition.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. A and then Jen.
I agree that we really must move forward. However, I think Dean said it most correctly, and that was only smoke. And the reason I say that is that we've been waiting on the fire marshal. So It's not just the administration.
No, that's right. There are a lot of people involved. Thank you, Dr. Ackerman.
No, I agree, but
Yep.
we have to do something. We've been.
Oh, agreed.
We knew that,
Agreed.
that they had to move. At the town council meeting, we know the property is going to be sold. Jen.
I agree, but we have been waiting on the fire marshal.
I know when we had met in the finance and facilities meeting that one of the deterrents was the cleanliness of the bay, the garage bay, because although Sam and his team made efforts to clean, suddenly air filters were put in there and boxes were put in there. If you know that somebody was going to move in, why would you use it as additional storage? So I don't know where we stand. One of the requests back then was to get that clean. It's been 2 weeks now, and I'm not really sure, Susan, if you have an update of, is it broom swept, ready to be moved, because they're packed. So if what Beverly suggested is that we don't have a decision on SP Butler, will we be able to move them Monday?
No.
Okay. That's
When will we be able to move?
I won't have the movers. You know, we're
Right, it's
looking
been
at trying
two-
to get you've
Yeah.
got to get a contract for the movers. You probably have to go out to bid. Who knows? I've got to plan all of that. And then they have been progressively getting a lot of that stuff out. Sam has ordered a big container so he can put all of his snow plows and that kind of equipment. So it is a process.
But we did talk about the containers in the summer, to be fair.
We did.
Ian, you have your hand up again?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask about the movers. I mean, we spoke about that last week, and I was it's my impression that the movers were imminent, that there was, calling them the next day or something like that. What happened with that?
I did not call them, so I'll have to check on that. But I do know.
How is it another week's gone by and we still don't know about the movers? Movers, we know we have to move bulk. We know it's going to be at least one big truckload. We can get numbers on the table with that. Do we have companies identified that can actually provide the service? And do we have ballpark figures for what that service would cost?
I will have to get that information to you, Ian. I do not have that at this time.
We were supposed to have that last week. You said you were going to send stuff to us.
I appreciate your tone.
All right.
I don't appreciate the delays. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
We have a day job too, Ian.
Okay, let's not go back and forth. Mike, and then Adrian.
I just want to say briefly that I do drive by the garage on a regular basis, and it's clear that progress has been made and is being made. But then I really want to emphasize it takes a long time you get certain things out to be able to get to the other layer, and then there's the next. So it is a process. So cleaning space and getting it ready for a new. It just takes a lot of time, and probably the reason the filter's there is my guessing is that's where the loading dock is, or where the truck's back in, and it's non-instructional space, so it's probably where else are we going to put it?
I know,
So.
but Sam's like one step or two steps forward. You know what I mean? So it's always like we need to stop thinking of it as a storage place and as a place that needs to get ready or should be ready, right? So unfortunately, they need to stop saying like, oh yeah, we could put the filters there or whatever else may be brought in. Because let's say he did clean it out. I don't know what it looked like before, but those were a lot of filters and a lot of boxes taking up the bay. So it was just that was.
I think those are gone.
They're gone? That would be good. Yeah. So that's good if it's gone, but we need to stop putting things in.
Hey, Jay, you have any suggestions, comments?
I support the deadline. Obviously, we've already been in touch with the fire marshal. He's told us what information he needs. If we can't get that turned around, or if he says that it's that we're unable to proceed with SB Butler, then I think we proceed with all due haste to get over to Fitch. I think in terms of whether this has to go out to bid, Maybe Rita can weigh in on what the policy is on that,
Okay.
so we can get that out of the way. But I would just ask that everybody, there's enough going on in the world right now that I would just ask that everybody be respectful. And I understand that we all have our own ideas about how quickly things should proceed. But, I would just ask that everybody respect each other as people and not allow this to, to impede the process.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah, but I think we do need a deadline, and these movers can be told we're either going to SP Butler or we're going to Fitch. I don't think the cost is going to be very much different between the two destinations. So I think we need to proceed with all due haste. Dean would probably say time is of the essence.
That's why Dean didn't speak, because he was respectful, I guess.
Yeah, but
All right.
anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Jay. So Susan? No.
So I did think it was a good idea that the board suggested looking into SB Butler, and we will with haste. I've already gathered a lot of information in the 12 hours I've been here. So we will be passing that along. And I appreciate the town manager really working with me and, knowing that he also believes that we've got to find a good place for our aluminum falcons, so.
So what about, when do you think all this can happen?
Well, I'm going to try to get as much done this week as I can, at least know, the dates that these things can be made available. So I'll give you a briefing in board notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adrian?
So one thing, I don't know if this is permissible or if the board could vote, but I would like the minutes from last week to be reviewed to include that consensus vote, because it seemed like in the entire robotics discussion, that was what we left with, was a consensus vote, unanimous, that we would proceed full steam ahead, move into Fitch while exploring SB Butler. So it'd be nice if can that be changed now that we already talked about the minutes?
Well, last week's minutes were whose minutes?
You could put it in.
No, the minutes that we didn't vote on, but we discussed earlier in tonight's meeting. It's not in there. I have tons of notes on
Yeah,
everything.
they are last week's minutes, you're right.
Yeah, that we just voted on tonight. So it says it was a consensus of the board to contact the town regarding this matter, but there was two parts of that thing.
Yeah.
I think Dean was the one that said we need to do both things together, and then we went around the table and everyone was in agreement.
So what was the second part? Because I did contact John Burt last week.
That
right
we would,
after our
so
meeting.
the second part was that we would continue with the plan of Fitch while concurrently
Looking into SB Butler.
looking into SB Butler. So I don't know if somebody can just go back and look at the meeting and then maybe just modify the agenda.
And we could do it again today, to see what the board wants to do, go around and take consensus.
Yeah.
And then it will be in these minutes also.
Yeah, so, because I think, personally, if the fire marshal says SB Butler's okay, there's probably going to be issues with running power to a place that was designed to be a gymnasium, meaning conduits that need to be bent to pull wire through and things like that. I mean, I haven't been in that gymnasium, I don't know where the panels are and stuff, but the auto shop has all of the power right there, and I don't know that that's going to be the case for the SB Butler plan. So I think SB Butler might be a great option, but seems like it's a little bit of a long shot anyway.
Yeah.
And separately, I think as far as movers go, we only need professional movers for a small part of it, to move a couple of machines. I think a lot of the stuff can be moved in trucks, I'm sure by volunteers or by Sam's staff. I think there's lots of people that would help us get moved. I've got a truck, I'll help. but the lighter stuff that's not heavy equipment. So, so that's, and then from, I was going to say this before when we were talking, but Sherry had said that really the safety training needs to be done by the end of October, which is driving that, so that they can be starting by the end of October, beginning of November. So that's why we have basically 4 weeks from today to do this, is because they need to get their safety done so they can train and be ready for this program. And then also, I believe we were going to get a schedule. So that was from the Finance and Facilities meeting on the 3rd or 5th or whatever day that was on, that Tuesday.
The second.
The second?
Yes.
That there was going to be a schedule by that Friday, and it came up last Monday that we didn't have a schedule yet, and I believe we were going to get one, so I don't know if the board, I assume that schedule is done now, so can it be sent to the board?
Yeah.
What was the schedule for?
Sherry had put together a schedule.
Well, it wasn't Sherry's schedule, it was a combined schedule that Sam and Sherry both agreed on could be workable, so that we could, and this goes back to the Finance and Facilities meeting, but that everybody agreed can be workable to achieve these goals. And Sherry, in moving this back to having things running by mid-October, was a compromise position by robotics. I mean, they wanted it to be
End of September.
Yeah, they wanted it to be sooner than that. Talking to Sam, it seemed unrealistic, so that's how we got to that mid-October date. So, but yeah, to my knowledge, I haven't seen a schedule yet. Maybe it's available, but if that could be sent to us as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, and in my mind, like a schedule was, and how I was envisioning it, is different than a list. The schedule would say, contact movers, schedule move date, garage bay cleaned out by X date, just so that it's like basically a timeline of, yep, this is like everything. October 15th is our drop date, and let's work backwards and everything, not just a list. Yep, movers. Yep, this. No, it's like contact movers by.
So I'll review that, the one that was sent with Sherry and Sam, and make sure that we've got it, and we'll get it to you.
Ian, you have something else?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate Adrian and Jen's comments that, but also, I mean, that the timeline thing was supposed to be something that was supposed to be sent out after last week's meeting. I can appreciate people's concerns about respectful tones, and I feel like I've been respectful for quite some time on this matter. But it's also about accountability. And our responsibility as elected officials to the community is to help hold the administration to account for things that need to happen and the concerns of the community. And I am very concerned for the situation because, don't confuse the only reason I raised my voice in the last couple of times was because I was being interrupted during my speaking time. So I apologize for that. But don't mistake that tone for disrespect. It's simply, I'm passionate about the situation. And the crucial matter is that we are running out of time, and this community has already lost a sail team and almost lost a swim team. And so now, we're on the verge of having a catastrophic failure with the robotics team. So I am speaking passionately and with direct precision that, we need to act now, because otherwise disaster is imminent with their timing. And as Adrian pointed out, the timeline from mid-October was already a compromise. They're already losing time. They're already out of sync. And the move is complicated. It will be complicated. There's a lot of moving parts to deal with. So we have no more time. So let's get the act together and commit to the space. I don't see SP Butler as a viable option at this time. Too many moving parts with that, there's, conduits, fire chief, another, we're depending on chances. We know we have some space. We can accommodate them at Fitch now. Let's double down on that, get it done, get them covered for the year, and buy ourselves some time so we can figure out the better plan to move forward, a more permanent plan. But manufacturing by no means should take any priority over robotics. Robotics is real. It's happening now. Manufacturing is still in theory. We haven't even voted on it yet as a board. Thank you.
Okay, so I know we're all a little frustrated on this, and I understand the frustration.
I understand it too. It's hard on me.
So
Trying to get all these pieces
I
together.
do agree with Ian. I think, a week for SB Butler. If it doesn't work out, let's move on to the manufacturing center, to the garage, or wherever it's going to go up, the auto shop. I didn't take the tour, so I don't know. But wherever it's going to go up at Fitch. I don't know. Dean, let's go around and get a consensus here.
Yeah, let's get a drop dead date for finding out something about SB Butler, because we could be waiting for who knows how long to get answers, both on what the fire marshal has to say and the suitability of the space. Let's look into that one, but then call it a day at some point. I don't know at one point. And yeah, by the plan B or by the default would be to move into available space at Fitch. And
Well, we have to have a date for the fire marshal, so, I mean, how long
Right.
do you want to give all this for SB Butler?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just pulling a number out of the air. I could say a week, at most, and then just call it.
Call it.
But in the meantime, we should arrange for the move,
Right,
like
arrange for the
yesterday. Yeah, it's going somewhere.
Yeah. Adrian?
So I would like to propose that we just go back to what we had said last week, which is plan on moving to Fitch on this schedule where the machinery can be running by mid-October, and while pursuing SB Butler. So if SB Butler becomes a viable option, we can switch, but we've already got a plan, so we don't delay them. So similar, I just feel like if we're just going to say, wait a week, we only have 4 weeks.
Yeah,
to
I'm
have
basically saying the
machinery.
same thing. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Let's kind of plan for Fitch, and if Butler works out, great, and we'll give Butler a week, say.
yeah, well,
Start getting the move going.
I would not move them twice in 1 year, though.
we're not.
No.
We're not talking about moving them twice. We're going to start planning for Fitch, because if we come back in a week and say, all right, well, Butler's going to happen, and then we say, but it's going to take 3 more weeks with electric fit out or more, then Butler's all of a sudden going to be not an option for this year.
Right.
So I think we should plan for Fitch while pursuing the idea of Butler, and maybe the way they run temporary electric is not that hard, and the power is already in the gymnasium. I don't know the building at all. I'm sure Sam could answer those questions. But so I would like to kind of re-propose moving on Sherry's schedule, or at least this mid-October, to have machinery running and moved in at Fitch while exploring the option of Butler.
But once at Fitch, then that's the end of exploring. That's what I'm saying, like, give it a week for SB Butler.
Correct. Well,
And at the same time, start getting bids on the move and all that. So try to do
Yeah.
2 things at the same
Simultaneously.
time.
Right.
So SB Butler is not working out. At least you're moving forward. We're getting the bids for the move and everything else. So doing it
and
both at the same time.
And the reason to not just drop SB Butler, in my opinion, is that I don't see a manufacturing center being constructed this school year. I've been in construction a long time, where I was in commercial construction. It just seems unrealistic since we have blank pages right now. So next year, if construction, like, it seems very unlikely that robotics is going to be in the auto shop if we're
While
constructing.
construction is going on.
So they will need a spot next year that will very likely not be the auto shop. And I don't think, we can talk about this as a board, but do we want to let robotics go a year without being able to, or being put back into a closet? And I personally don't.
There are no more closets.
So, well, exactly. So, and I think everybody agrees robotics is great at Fitch, but it needs to be a viable program at Fitch. So, my thought with SB Butler is maybe it's 2 or 3 years there. Certainly, maybe through the construction, and then we can open robotics and manufacturing center in 2 years or whatever it is. So, but I'll go back to my original thing. If we're planned on Fitch, let's keep exploring Butler.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's,
Jen?
Concur.
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Ian,
I
nice
agree
and
too.
short and sweet, Ian.
Yeah, I concur with the opinion of like, let's move on Fitch
Okay,
and explore other options later.
okay.
And I do just want to share my concern about Sam. I hope he's feeling well, but this highlights need for cross training and contingencies. Because it's a crucial time to not have him here. Thank you.
Well, Sam's online.
He's online, even though he's not
He's
feeling
online.
well.
All right. Dr. A?
My original was to move to Fitch and plan for Cutler. I mean, I'm sorry, Butler. However, now I think that we should just plan on Fitch, move to Fitch, and then, for heaven's sake, make it work, and just keep it at Fitch and forget everything else, and just make it work.
Okay. Jay? Jay?
he's being disrespectful.
Like a thumbs up.
Sean? Sean, are you there?
I'm here. I'm good.
Okay. What's your thought, Sean?
I think we move on Fitch and come up with a contingency plan in case.
Okay. Thank you. And Jay? Okay. All right, so you have your direction?
I do.
Move on Fitch and work with S.B. Butler at the same time.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what I was doing all day.
All right. And hopefully, by Friday, you'll have some good news for
Yeah.
and board notes.
I would love that.
How we're doing, because we only have like mid-October is coming quick.
I know, this year's already going by too fast.
And then
And we have other rooms that need to be cleaned out too. Down the hall, there's rooms there that
You
have.
mean in this building?
Yeah.
We're not bringing robotics to this level.
I know, but
can we
there's
fit in,
rooms
what
that,
is it, 4?
that need to be cleaned out.
Plus,
We need
plus
Andrea
let's
right
say, plus
Oh,
even
no, that's
Butler,
assistant
right?
superintendent.
They
I
might
can't
need to
remember
clean
what
out
your
Butler too, like
Yeah.
who knows what's stored in there.
Okay, anything else with
lot of
robotics?
orders here.
Just want to make sure we're all on the same
Beverly?
page. Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with Adrian's suggestion, as we did last week, but with the proviso that we just come up with a decision about SB Butler within a week, and then we just go with it. Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's what I said, come up with by the end of the week. So if we don't hear anything from Esterly Butler, we're definitely going to Fitch. But we're getting ready for Fitch as
We
we're
are.
waiting
We are.
for Esterly Butler. And we're all in agreement with that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anything else? We don't have referral. or-
Just one quick parliamentary note. I did return to the meeting at 6:53. Just for the record, I'm not sure if that was noted or not.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay,
on
great,
my
thank you.
paper.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ian. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, Dean. All those in favor of adjournment?
All right.
Aye.
We'll turn up your mics. We're gonna have a quick